Hi there, my name is David. Today we are doing the lace application on the Knitmaster 323, and we're going to just see how it looks and how to do the method. What I'm showing you here is the two threads I'm going to be using. I'm using a yarn, and I'm also using a sewing thread or overlocking thread. I find that the sewing thread or overlocking thread works just as well, and it's just how you put the thin yarn through the tension unit that will make the difference on how you knit with this very thin thread. When you thread your yarn, uh, what they suggest is that you actually do this very thin yarn and you actually put a double like that, and basically that's is how that you get the correct tension with the yarn. I do find that with this particular yarn, I only had to put it in once because for some reason or other, the tension unit seemed to work really well. Sometimes you've got to clean your tension unit and you unscrew it and you take any lint that's out. And what that can do is can make the tension unit more efficient and can make it easier for you to sew the thread. Anyway, I tested this thread and basically it works really well with just being wound over just like a normal yarn. And you just got to check your yarn and how it works on the tension, and that's basically what you have to do. Some yarns are a bit thinner, especially sewing yarn, and you might not work the same way. It's all about checking your tension unit over here and checking that the thread unit is working correctly with the tension. It's just a case of trial and error when you do this. So it's just a case of testing it out and to see how it works. The first thing I'm going to do is set my needles up, and basically the instructions are saying push out 60 needles, which is what I'm showing here. And basically I'm just going to cast on 60 needles and start my cast on. So basically you cast on with 60 needles when you do your sample, and what you do is you set up also your punch card, what you're going to use, and I set the punch card up where I can just basically switch it on, and that's how I would do the knit, the actual lace knit. I've also set it up at a specific place that I want it to be on the punch card. It's just a case of testing where you want this punch card to be for your first stitch. It doesn't necessarily have to follow the punch cards on what's on the pattern here. You don't have to follow it directly. What you can do is just set it up where you want it to be. So we are going to set up the machine. I'm going to do a cast on, and then we'll do the next segment. What I'm doing now is I'm just doing the cast on. I do the E-wrap method of doing the cast on, so it's really quite simple once you get into it, and it's really quite easy. So I'm just going to finish this off and do the first row of knitting. What I am doing now is I'm setting all the gauges. Here I'm setting it on 6 or 7, and just check that your levers are on the correct position. These levers on the side here should be down on either side of here. Also check the levers over here. Sometimes it's on 1, which places it into hold. So you press it down to 2, and that's where you push your yarn in. What we're going to do is we're going to do about 10 rows. So I'm going to basically do 9 rows, and then we're going to insert the second thread in to start off the lace carriage. Um, Basically it's the same as when you do ferrule knitting, the way you insert it. The first section is where you put your yarn first, and then the second section here is where you put your second yarn, which will be the lace yarn, and this is where it creates the pattern. So you just have to do your first 10 rows, and then we'll do the lace carriage on the lace section on the ninth row, because we've got to actually join the yarns together, and then start the actual lace pattern. When you do your basic knitting, make sure that the lever here is based back onto the center of the dial, because this is where you just do your basic knitting, and this is where it needs to be positioned for the first 10 rows we're going to do. And then we will push this to the side here, which will be your lace number, and that's what creates a pattern. But when you first do your first 10 rows just for waist knitting, what you do is you make sure that you have this lever in the center for basic knit. We have all our needles set up and the cast on is set up, so let's do our very first row. That is your first row done, and now we're going to just put on the cast on comb, which should fit on here very well. And now we place on the weights. So we're just going to put 3 weights on. I put weights on the comb here. I just make sure that it pulls down a little bit. And this is where I place the comb and place the weights. So that's how you do your first row basically. And now we're going to do 10 rows, and we are going to start next with the lace pattern. As you can see, I've showing you the dial numbers of all the rows you're going to do, and we've done 1 row already, which is your cast on row, and now we're going to do a second row, and this will be completing on your cast on. So that is your second row done, and now we're going to complete the 10 rows. Actually, we're going to complete 9 rows. Basically what you're going to do now is you're going to take this very thin yarn that you have. This is going to be the lace yarn, and you're going to insert it into the actual carriage where the main yarn is. And this is basically just to secure on this single row the thin yarn together with the main yarn. Basically I'm holding that yarn, and I'm just going to hold it for 1 row, and that will complete this first a row of knitting, just to hold the thin yarn. What you do now is you take that thin yarn that you have here, and you actually insert it out of that section, and you place it into the actual front section here. This is where the second yarn is going to be, and that's where you place this yarn. So it's just a case of just checking the yarn and making sure that it holds together. What we're going to do now is set up the levers. These two levers here on the side you set to 1. These are front levers. This is basically into hold position, and on the side levers you press to the triangle shape, and this is what makes the carriage, instructs the carriage to knit the lace pattern. Then you press the main dial to L, and that is when you start your pattern. What we're doing now is I've already set the pattern up and I put it in the position I want to. I'm just going to experiment with the position to put it where I want to. So now I'm ready for patterning. So basically you just push it out so that it can start patterning. And this is where you're going to do your first row of actual lace knitting. So what I'm going to do now is do the rows for the knitting. So let's see how it comes out. And I'm just going to do a couple of rows now, and then I will show the final sample when I'm finished. Now I've done a number of rows. I'm just going to finish. I'm going to do about 40 rows and then I'll be finished basically the sample. Well, this is the actual knit, what it looks like, and the pattern. You can see it much more here on the wrong side. I think if I use this actual punch card, I'm actually going to use the wrong side of the actual knit, because it actually looks better, and because it's quite a mild knit, it's not actually a lot of holes in it, but I really like the zigzag look of it, and I think it's a really great knit. So what I'm going to do is just finish off this knit. I'm just going to do some basic knitting now, and I'm going to just cast off and show you the sample. Well, here is the sample that I've done. As you can see, it's really quite simple. A simple sample to done, or punch card I should say. Well, basically what this lace method does is that it actually nets, it has 2 yarns, and the second yarn acts as a kind of net, and then it fills in the space where the hole would be for the lace work, and that's how that creates its effect. I did notice a little bit of loops on the side here, so I'll be looking at a bit more closely to see what the issues there, and some of the holes came out a little bit bigger than what I thought, so I'll be checking to see what's going on there. But I prefer the wrong side of it. I think it's much more interesting. As you can see, you can actually see the pattern more, and I think maybe I would actually make the garment with this being on the front instead of the back, and it will probably be more interesting. This pattern was quite, like I say, was quite easy to do, and I'll probably be doing this one again. I'm not sure when. I'll see on the next project, and I will be looking to see what else I can do with this. Well, anyway, this is the end of the video. I want to say thank you for watching. Please subscribe and leave a comment, and I will be looking at the next project soon.